No position in sports is more controversial than the commissioner. Across all major North American sports, there seems to be one general consensus. The commissioner is awful. No commissioner and no sport is without its controversies, but one stands above the rest. The NBA's Adam Silver. But what makes Silver different? What has he done in his short time to become one of the best commissioners in all of sports? Before assuming the helm, Silver held a variety of roles within the league, including Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of NBA Entertainment, the production branch of the league, Chief of Staff for the NBA, and the Special Assistant to the Commissioner. Silver acted as Deputy Commissioner of the legendary David Stern, and as the league's number 2, played a pivotal role in the league's most recent collective bargaining agreements and NBA lockouts. Amid Stern's impactful tenure, Silver worked diligently behind the scenes, contributing significantly to the league's operations and success. Stern expressed confidence in Silver's capabilities, publicly endorsing him in 2012. Stern was widely seen as one of the best not only in the NBA but across all of sports. In his 30-year span, he laid the groundwork for a lot of what we see in the NBA in player marketing, growth in and outside of the US, the start of social responsibilities such as the NBA Cares program, while leading the league through various scandals such as the Tim Donaghy point shaving scandal. As Stern's protege, Silver had plenty of time in the league's office and was even a lawyer before joining the NBA, but nothing could have prepared him for what happened not even a year into his tenure. On April 25th, 2014, TMZ released a video of Clippers owner Donald Sterling making racist comments with his mistress, essentially saying that he doesn't like her to associate with black people. She's allowed to sleep with them if she doesn't bring them to any of his games. The league was quick to act against Sterling. The Clippers nearly boycotted their playoff game against the Warriors, with the Miami Heat joining in protest. Current and former players condemned the remarks, with even Barack Obama reacting to Sterling's comments. Many of the Clippers' sponsors and SoCal partners were quick to cut ties with Sterling and his team. With public attention looking their way, the office of the NBA was quick to react. After an investigation confirming the voice in the recording was that of Donald Sterling, 4 days after the comments aired, Adam Silver had to do the most difficult thing you could ask of a fresh-faced commissioner.
Effective immediately, I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA. Mr. Sterling may not attend any NBA games or practices. He may not be present at any Clippers facility, and he may not participate in any business or player personnel decisions involving the team. He will also be barred from attending NBA Board of Governors meetings or participating in any other league activity. I am also fining Mr. Sterling $2.5 million, the maximum amount allowed under the NBA Constitution. I will urge the Board of Governors to exercise its authority to force a sale of the team, and will do everything in my power to ensure that that happens.
Silver's punishment on Sterling is considered one of, if not the harshest punishment on an owner in sports history. Donald Sterling would then double down. In a CNN interview just weeks later, he said that he wasn't racist, asked for forgiveness, and said his mistress baited him into making those comments.
I'm not a racist. I made a terrible, terrible mistake. Here is a man who's, I don't know if I say this, he acts so holy. I mean, he made love to every girl in every city in America, and he had AIDS. And when he had those AIDS, I went to my synagogue and I prayed for him. I hoped he could live and be well. You know, because he has money, he's able to treat himself. But Magic Johnson is irrelevant in this thing. He didn't do anything harmful to anybody, and I respect him and I admire everything that he does. What has he done? Can you tell me? Big Magic Johnson, what has he done?
Well, he's a business person.
He's got AIDS. Did he do any business? Did he help anybody in South LA?
Well, I think he has HIV. He doesn't actually have full-blown AIDS. But.
Well, what kind of a guy goes to every city, has sex with every girl, then he catches HIV? And is that someone we want to respect and tell our kids about? I like to help minorities.
Are you saying that African Americans don't contribute to African American communities as much as Jewish people?
There's no African American. Never mind.
The rest of this story spent less time in the public eye, but was just as interesting. Sterling's wife, who also owned the team, claimed that Donald said that she could sell the team. Donald Sterling then denied giving his wife permission, denied being charged by the NBA, and refused to sell the team. He then tried to sue the NBA, his wife, and Adam Silver. But a supposed argument used against Sterling was by 3 different doctors saying that he lacked mental capacity due to Alzheimer's disease. The courts would then throw out Donald Sterling's case, with Steve Ballmer completing the purchase of the Clippers that August. While banning a longtime owner just months into your time as a commissioner is difficult, Adam Silver faced a more defining moment into his tenure 6 years into the role, the suspension of the NBA season in March 2020 due to the outbreak of COVID-19. The decision came right after Jazz center Rudy Gobert tested positive for the virus on March 11th. A surprising move at the time given that the US only had about 1,200 reported COVID cases, but the NBA proved to be right, as we would see a shortened MLB season, March Madness and the G League would be cancelled, and almost a third of the US population would end up testing positive with the disease. During lockdowns both home and abroad, in June, the NBA announced their return with the inception of the bubble in Orlando, Florida. Following months of planning and preparation, Silver and the league pulled off the impossible, resuming the season that many thought were going to be gone forever. In a dire time where we were not only deprived of sports, but just of new entertainment that NBA delivered, giving us 8 regular season games and exciting 2020 playoffs with legendary performances by the Bubble Suns, the second coming of Michael Jordan, aka TJ Warren, Damian Lillard, and Jimmy Butler, not to mention the debut of the wildly successful play-in tournament. But you can't talk about the bubble without mentioning the spark of the NBA's activism. Following the murder of George Floyd that May, the bubble became a platform for the Black Lives Matter movement, with the movement being on the court for every game and on the back of many players' jerseys. While the majority of the league would go on to kneel for the national anthem, players like Myers Leonard and Jonathan Isaac notoriously did not. Neither did Spurs coaches Greg Popovich or Becky Hammon. Into the first round of the playoffs, the league again put itself in the forefront of social justice with the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Milwaukee. The Milwaukee Bucks refused to take the court against the Orlando Magic, causing games to be postponed in the MLB, WNBA, and MLS. Raptors guard Norman Powell saying kneeling for the anthem is not enough, and with the Bucks' George Hill feeling useless being trapped in Florida with everything going on. Following the protests and in collaboration with players, coaches, and team governors, Adam Silver and NBA PA Executive Director Michelle Roberts announced a social justice coalition. This coalition aimed to advocate for policing reforms, enhanced voting access, and criminal justice reform. The league pledged $300 million to support the Black community over the next decade, albeit this was before the events of Jacob Blake. In the following years, we also saw the creation of the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Social Justice Award, and in the last few seasons, the league not scheduling games on election day in an effort to promote voting. While you could always argue that the NBA can do more in this regard or hasn't responded properly, especially with controversies surrounding Robert Sarver or Kyrie Irving, the NBA has emerged as a trailblazer, setting an example for professional leagues to follow in the realm of social justice. Donald Sterling, COVID-19, and social activism may be some of the biggest tests of his young career, but I also have to shine a light on some of the other changes we have seen in the NBA in the last few seasons thanks to Adam Silver. All-Star Weekend had become a joke from what its peak was in the early 2000s, but that would change in the latter half of the 2010s. In 2018, the league would controversially get rid of the East-West format, the leading vote-getters now choosing to draft a team. In 2020, we would see another overhaul in the format. Just days after his death, the NBA announced a brand new All-Star format in honor of Kobe Bryant, whereas instead of playing the full 48 minutes after 3 12-minute quarters, a target score would be set equaling 24 more points than what the leading team had. The first team to reach that new target score would win the game. Along with the new format to win, the team who won each quarter would earn a donation of $100,000 for their community organization, with an additional $200,000 for reaching the target score. The high donation amounts, along with the All-Star Weekend being in honor of Kobe Bryant, led to one of, if not the most competitive All-Star games in NBA history, seeing Team LeBron defeat Team Giannis 157-155. Kawhi Leonard would win the newly named NBA All-Star Game Kobe Bryant Most Valuable Player Award. Other changes we have recently seen made by Silver is the addition of the play-in tournament and the in-season tournament. The play-in tournament, first seen during the bubble, has opened up access access to the playoffs by giving the 9th and 10th seeds a way to make it in if they're able to win 2 games. This has given teams less of a reason to tank and more of a reason to fight for the playoffs. For teams ranked 7th and 8th, it's given them a reason to continue fighting for a higher spot or risk early elimination. Next was the new in-season tournament. Debuting in a somewhat convoluted format, it would hope to tap in onto a player's natural competitiveness, and for those players who were just scraping onto a roster, the $500,000 prize was a pretty big thing to fight for. While many argued that the new NBA Cup is useless, the competitive play that we saw on the court and the TV ratings begged to differ. According to Forbes, ESPN and TNT tournament games saw a 26% increase in views compared to last season. League Pass saw a 25% increase in viewership, with group play games giving the league's highest average attendance ever in November. NBA social media accounts had the best November ever, seeing nearly 4 billion views. All of this culminating with the Lakers-Pacers championship game peaking at 5.7 million viewers. While the NBA Cup may not move the GOAT needle for someone like LeBron, the tournament has spiked an increase in viewership for the NBA, giving the NBA its best regular season in the last 6 years. The in-season tournament has led for major growth in the NBA, and growth may just be the crown jewel of Silver's time as the NBA's commissioner. Internationally, the league has taken major steps, becoming large partners with China and with the formation of NBA Africa. Compared to 30 years ago, the NBA has quadrupled the amount of foreign players, this year seeing 125 players from foreign countries on opening night rosters. In the US, we've seen a rapid development in the G League, now seeing top prospects such as Jonathan Kuminga choosing the G League over the NCAA. Even the WNBA and even the NBA 2K League have seen growth, with the WNBA averaging 21% more viewers from last season, with its highest average attendance in over a decade. Much of this growth has to be awarded to some of the new rule changes we've seen in the last few years. We've seen the NBA implement rules to increase the pace of play, such as by reducing the amount of total timeouts, reducing the shot clock from 24 seconds to 14 seconds after a miss, and the addition of transition take fouls. We've also seen the league adapt technology in a new way, where we've seen an expansion of replay calls and an expansion of the coach's challenge. This season, we've even started to see more of a crackdown on flopping, as well as a crackdown on the resting of star players. It's safe to say changes like these have made the game more interesting to watch for the general viewer. But with all of this and all of the good that Silver has done, I need to also mention some of his criticisms. As I've said before, every single commissioner in a sport has them. The first has been the rise in the widely popular sports betting. The NBA has been at the forefront of this industry for a while now, and we're at the point where you can't watch a game without hearing the odds or seeing a pick'em or the over-under. While it can financially benefit the league itself and it brings higher stakes to meaningless games, it is also fair to criticize the league for normalizing a dangerous habit. Silver has also been criticized for not preventing super teams. While something like the Kevin Durant signing may not be prevented, Damian Lillard's controversial way out of Portland over the summer definitely raised a lot of eyebrows. The play-in tournament has given us some fun, competitive moments in only just the last few years, but many critics of the tournament would argue that a team tanking isn't going to compete for the 10th seed. What would be the point? We're in the middle of a ring or nothing movement to where if a team can't compete for a championship, there isn't a whole lot of a point to competing at all. We've seen the lottery odds change recently in 2019, that still may not be enough from teams wanting to lose for a high pick. After all, tanking is only negative for the image of the league as a whole, and many fans don't want to see their own teams purposely losing games. The last and possibly the biggest controversy of his career was Silver's response regarding the NBA and China. In 2019, Rockets GM Daryl Morey tweeted in support of Hong Kong protesters criticizing China, one of the league's biggest global partners who's been airing games for over 35 years. Silver's initial response was weak to say the least. In a league championed by players fighting for their causes and speaking their views, he would go on to call Morey's statement regrettable, and along with Morey and even James Harden, they would apologize for the tweets. Many were angered with the NBA siding with China and siding with money instead of for social causes, something that they have long perpetuated. Silver and the league later changed their statement and called out their critics, claiming everybody uses products from China, why should the NBA be the one to boycott? In 2022, we saw the league return to China, a country that has more basketball fans than the United States, with one source stating that the country has over 600 million basketball fans. While he is far from perfect, Silver has been a near model commissioner, leading his sport in and out of the game. While some may call his ideas a gimmick, it has undeniably increased the reach of the NBA. Silver has inspired change without breaking the fundamental product of the league. He has already proven himself capable in following in David Stern's footsteps, and at this rate, he is going to make himself a contender for one of the best commissioners in sports history. But thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, you might like this one right here. But that is it for this one, and I will catch you guys later.